Okay. All right. Perfect.
Not a great streak here.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things I recommend. Like, after every game, get up, go to the bathroom, go refill your water cup. It doesn't matter if you've got a full water cup or an empty bladder. Like, building that habit where you're going to the bathroom after every game and refilling your water is going to encourage you to drink more water while you're playing. First of all, it's going to make sure that your brain gets used to peeing between games and not during games. Um, and also, it's going to give you like a minute or two just to kind of calm down and decompress in between games, especially if you lost a game. And like a lot of times we're like, oh, I'm not tilted. I'm not tilted. I gotta, I'll queue up again and win one. But as much as we tell ourselves that we're not tilted, we're often very, very tilted. So,
Of course. Yeah.
so giving yourself a chance to decompress after a moment like that helps a lot. If you lose 2 games in a row, take like a 15-minute break. Just if you've got a dog, go walk the dog, or something else that takes 15 minutes. If you lose 3 or 4 games in a row, just be done with ranked for the day. Like
Yeah,
there's
just call it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can go play unrated, you can get in another account, you can go play another game, but you're gonna tilt yourself. You're gonna get into tilt queue. You're gonna get into losers queue. Life is not gonna be very fun. I've seen people go from plat to bronze, and it's like a lot of times it's not even particularly their fault. They just get into losers queue and they destroy their MMR and they play while tilted and then they can never get back out again.
What do you mean losers queue? I've heard that before.
So basically, the way that the game's MMR system works is that it likes to have a rank that it thinks you should be. Not a rank that you are, but a rank that it thinks you should be. And consistently, like whenever your gameplay changes, it's going to be re-updating and matching you against different people to test that rank. So if you've been playing well recently, it might test you against some higher level players to see that if you can win that match, okay, I'm going to increase your MMR and start pushing you toward the rank that I think you should be. If you've been playing very poorly recently, it's going to also give you some hard games where it wants to test you. It's like, okay, does this person deserve to be at this rank? Yes or no, right? And so if you're able to get your MMR to a really nice spot, you can get into what's called winner's queue, where the game is like, oh, okay, he is currently at the wrong rank. He is too low for what his rank should be. I'm going to have his MMR so that every time he wins, he gets a lot of MMR, and every time he loses, he doesn't lose very much ranked rating. And I'm also going to give him fairly easy games so that he climbs up to that rank really quickly. Right? What losers queue happens is, like, let's say you by some miracle you hit plat, and all of a sudden the game is hitting you with plat games, and you're losing them and performing poorly. And now it's like, uh-oh, I put him in the wrong spot. Just to make sure it's not by fluke and he didn't just have a couple of bad games, I'm going to give him really hard games against more difficult people to see if he can prove himself. And if he can prove himself, great, no big deal, I'll keep him at his rank. But if he can't, I'm going to continue to give him hard games, make it so that whenever he wins a game, he doesn't get very much. Whenever he loses a game, he loses a lot, so that I can put him down to the rank that I think he deserves to be at. And at that point, like even if you are better than that rank, you can be in a queue that makes the games unnecessarily difficult. And even when you do win, you don't win very much, and you have to go on like a massive winning streak to kind of reset your account. Just because the game is like, oh yeah, no, he doesn't deserve to where he is because he can't win or carry or play well at that rank, even if it's not your fault because it's giving you hard games. So,
Gotcha.
if you start losing a lot of games in a row, the game is going to force you to win a lot of games in a row, or else continue losing a lot of games in a row. That's why I just want to be really careful if we start losing a lot, because if everyone has bad days. Of course, like we all have bad days. Duh. Um, treat yourself like a human with a bad day. If you're having a bad day, don't worry about ranked. It's okay. If you're having a good day, play a lot of ranked.
Gotcha. Okay, should I start?
Absolutely. What do you?
And you said,
Okay, go ahead.
oh, go ahead. You
Oh,
said you were recording this, right?
yes,
Gonna
yes,
get
I
a
am.
copy. All right, cool.
Actually, let me double check, make sure. I hit the record. Okay, cool, we're recording.
Match found.
What were you gonna ask?
I was gonna ask what you did for work.
Oh, I'm in accounting.
Oh, fun. I'm taking an accounting class right now.
Okay.
It's not the worst.
It's not. Yeah, it's not super exciting.
My mom was an accountant, so I thought
Okay.
it'd be a good class to take.
Breeze. Bowman's not really great on breeze, is he? Oh well. Yeah, the other thing about solo queue is like no one picks a Viper
No.
here.
Yeah. It can definitely be useful to have a duo to play with. Just someone you can rely on. Not someone significantly worse or better than you. Just someone you can get comfortable with and you know, if they have a bad game, you know you can carry. If you're having a bad game, you know that they can step it up. You know that if like you need to be in a spot where like you need someone to have your back, you've got someone who can have your back.
Mhm.
So makes it a lot easier.
Sage, you lock him down, and I'll take him
All
out.
right, what do you typically buy round one on Omen?
I typically just do shields and another smoke.
Okay, so round one we should always buy as much as we possibly can, whether that is utility and armor or ghost and utility. Um, on Breeze, I would typically recommend a ghost, just because longer ranges mean the ghost is better. But the amount of value that your I would get a flash instead of a there you go. The amount of value that your
Flashlight.
utility and your guns can give you in the early rounds are far worth any money that you would save by not buying them.
Mhm.
So like having a flash could get you a kill and save a teammate. That's 200 credits for getting the kill and invaluable for saving your teammate. So the only thing I would be careful about flanking like this, A, because they have a killjoy, and B, because you're off the map for a really long time. Right now you could be helping your Raze
Yeah.
retake site, but you're fairly useless when you're off the map for that long. It wouldn't have particularly made a difference in this round, but it can make a difference in a lot of rounds where like, if you're ever in a 2v anything situation, you always want to play with your teammate.
I see.
Um,
Okay.
but like, a flank can be really good to provide information for your team. Where aren't the enemies? Where are the enemies? Like if you push out of A and no one's A, your teammate can rotate really hard B to cover. But if the enemies are already clearly somewhere, flanking is just meaning that your team is down a person for as long as you're on the flank and that you're having a lot harder of a time coordinating with them.
Gotcha. I always try to look at it as like we can try to take site or retake site with different. Oh shit! What should I?
I would save in general.
Yeah.
If your team wants to force as a whole, that's fine. But you're on defense on Breeze after losing round one. You're not. It doesn't really particularly matter what you're by. You're probably gonna lose. Okay, so A, you're 1v5 right there. All right, there's no reason for you to take a fight when you've got absolutely nobody to help you and you're all alone. It's kind of one of the things where it's a lot better for you to stay alive, wait for your team to come in and play with them. Because even,
I see.
if you
Okay.
die, they're there to get value out of your death. But now that the only value they got out of your death was the raw damage that you did.
I think I got the game volume too loud. I can't hear you.
No worries.
Last player standing. Clutch.
Another thing that, yeah, if you had waited for it got down to one person there. If you had stayed alive, bam. Another thing is, like, if you're pushing through that smoke and you know they're going to be there, flash them. right? Like that's that flash could have netted you a kill. That's almost guaranteed that someone is playing there, and if you're going to get aggressive and take that fight anyway, you might as well flash. Your
Gotcha.
stream is doing a little bit of a death dance. If you get a
Oh,
chance
is
to,
it?
yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna lower it a little. How's that?
Much better.
Enemy spotted B.
Feels like an over rotate.
Yeah, a little bit of an over rotate. Often when they're not showing a committal, of heavy utility or pushing in, it's significantly better to maintain control over more of the map, so that because right now they could be on A, they could be flanking us, and we don't know that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to A then.
Make sure that you check halls here first. You don't want to do that with your knife out, because if one of them was halls, knife's a lot scarier. Even now, as long as they haven't committed to anything, trust your teammates. If your teammates now that your teammates are seeing where they are a little bit more, yeah, but.
30 seconds left.
Ooh. Okay.
Oh.
That was one of the times where we're not exactly sure quite where she is because we lost sight of her for a little while. And also when you were looking mid there, your Reyna was already mid. Right? Your Reyna was mid coming up through mid doors. Having your eyes trained on A main where the enemies could be, that's where you want your crosshair placed right there. Like you had your crosshair at a good height if there were an enemy coming through mid doors, but because we know we have control over that exact spot at the moment, it's a lot better to look where we don't have control over. And then you never want to be out in the open when you've got your utility in your hands. You never want to be peeking with your utility or anything like that, because what happened can happen. Okay.
That was all right.
Only in gold and silver. Silver really is the worst rank in the game.
This party's just begun.
We don't talk about it.
Can someone
So what would you recommend here when I'm kind of low?
Because your team is all forcing, I would buy as well. You can go like Guardian light armor and util. Guardian is really great on this map. Because it's so long range. Just make sure that you can take halls, you can work halls or mid here where you're taking the really long range angles.
Spike down A. Spike down A.
So it looks.
You can definitely look to do some sort of control mid here. Make sure that push out with your jet. If you're gonna get aggressive, you might as well get aggressive together. Perfect. Try and grab a gun. Perfect. Wow, a man of integrity. Didn't even go after the skin. You would not believe the amount of times I've been in a coaching session and someone has died trying to get a skin. I'm like,
Oh gosh.
Okay, so here, instead of upgrading to heavy armor, because you're poor, I would just stick with the light armor. Alright, that's going to allow you to buy. You can just sell the heavy armor. Just right-click it, and it'll go back to the light armor. There you go.
Okay.
Because that's going to allow you, if you do lose this round, it's going to allow you to buy next round.
Right.
And that's way worth. It'd be one thing if you didn't have any armor, but it's not worth 1,000 to go from 400 or from it's not worth 600. It's not worth 1,000 to go from 25 to 50. Because you don't even have to buy light armor here.
Blocking sight.
Cover going out. No charges.
Your fault.
Stand down. Enemy spotted B.
One enemy remaining. Spike down B.
Whoa. Nice. Only thing I gotta say there is like if if you saw the enemies on the minimap, that would have been a really good time to like while the wall is still up, just line up and immediately use your flash. Now you can upgrade to heavy armor. Now that you've got plenty of money, now's a good time to just go ahead and bite the bullet because you'll be able to buy for at
Gotcha,
least 2
gotcha.
rounds.
Sky enemy spotted A.
Nice. Perfect. Oh. Okay. Good. That's another thing. If we're missing our shots, you can just take a second and reset your recoil. When you swung there, you went left and forward, which meant that you cut off your ability to back off if you missed the shots. Try, if possible, to always give yourself a retreat option. You know, if you're...
One enemy remaining.
Oh, that sucks.
There.
It comes with the territory of your team playing hyper aggressive, though. It's not something I'd particularly recommend. Often it's, like I said, it's a lot better to just control more of the map. But this is Silver.
Yeah.
If your team is going to play hyper aggressive, it's better to play with them than to just kind of let them all die on their own.
Right. Yes. Yes.
But yeah, if you ever have the control to give yourself a retreat option, give yourself the retreat option. Because, what if you sneeze? What if you're, well, not if your power turns off, but like, even if you don't make a real mistake with your human life, you could definitely just have an accident happen to you. And it's always better to have a way out if things go wrong. Just get rid of it. It's going to hurt, but yeah. If it can, it'll always take a straight line, even if it's coming over a box.
Spike down A.
What a miracle.
You will not kill my ally.
Nice.
Last player standing.
You have flash?
Spike planted.
Oh god. I more
Yeah,
meant that as
I
a
didn't
as
mean
a
to
in a
waste it. I
moment
didn't
where you
waste
could have used it. Okay. So that was a little bit of a crazy round. One thing that you can do on Omen is when you have ult, you can ult out of a Killjoy ult and then cancel it as soon as it popped.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you were 1 point away from ult there, now that you know that, in a situation like that where you're kind of trapped in the Killjoy ult, you should have just pushed to get a kill and then backed off, like ulted into your spawn while it popped and then canceled it, and you would have been right back there, still ready to take a fight and help your team. But like once you've decided to dedicatedly stay in the Killjoy ult, it was a miracle you survived on that box. Normally you wouldn't. Like you should just in general just go for the fight if you're trying to fight and stay, if you're not going to retreat.
Right.
Shadows traveling.
Here goes my team pushing up.
They're both elbows.
Flash them if you want.
They're both an elbow.
They ran away.
Are they? Not sure they have too many options to fully run away. Oh, oh yeah, never mind. Arena. Oh, okay. All right.
One enemy remaining. Spike Spike down B.
You move a little bit in your sprays sometimes. I would definitely work on that. Again, you don't have to. It's 3v1. You don't have to take a fight with her here. You've got Spike. There's no reason for you to fight her here. Even if your teammates push her here, don't push her because it's so much more important that you, you know, you can still hold and make sure that
30
she can't
seconds
come out.
left.
Just if you miss your shot, immediately stop fighting. Perfect. Yeah. You want to minimize their options to make a play. And if a lot of times when people get aggressive on them, you're giving them an option to make a play. Even if it's a slim option, if you do it enough, you know, statistics is not your friend. But yeah, I would one of the things I would do is when you're in the range, just practice your spray. Just at different ranges, practice getting your spray small. Practice when you can't get the spray small, resetting the recoil so you can try again. Because I've noticed you have a really tough time like with the extended sprays, especially because you start to move a little bit into the spray. If you're committed to spraying, we're not moving at all. You know, it's one thing if like we're getting tappy and we're moving around and strafing, but like if we're spraying with a rifle, we can't be moving because we genuinely will not hit them.
Right.
Getting an open A. We'll go in A.
Shadows traveling.
Barrier created.
Back down.
Enemy
Go back
in
down.
attack.
Go back down. Sky cross.
Here.
Guys,
Spike down. Attacker spawn.
Stealing sight.
Nice, very good.
Spike is in attacker spawn.
Shit behind us.
Your team does have Spike, so you're kind of playing alone here, so be careful. Yep, you don't have to retake those fights.
One enemy remaining.
what's one? Be mid now.
Thirty seconds left.
Probably saving boys.
Again, like, great start to the fight, but as soon as you notice yourself whiffing, you can just get back around that corner. You know, right now, whenever you have an advantage, you want to avoid taking any sort of fight that is not to your advantage. Because if things play out normally, you'll win. Right? If things just like everything goes straightforward, you win the round. So you don't ever like you never want to take an even 1v1 fight with them. You don't want to give them a chance to take any sort of fight that's fair, because you don't need to take a fair fight. You've got the chance to take an advantage. When you have a disadvantage, it's the opposite. That's when you want to try and be playing aggressive and trying to make plays, because if things play out, you know, you'll lose by default.
Cover going out.
Here, B.
Yeah. So that position is kind of rough again because it's not retreatable. Right? We're forcing ourselves to hit the shot
Spike planted.
other than anything else. If we had someone playing with us, for example, who could play off of us and kind of we could work together, that's one thing. But when you're sitting alone, you want to be able to back off, have your teammates rotate to you and play together, and that's just not possible in that position. Also, when you do like when something like they're using utility, like you're getting flashed, it's often really good to just counter flash so that they can't push in and back off.
Right.
Staying alive is more important than anything else, especially on defense.
It's those split-second decisions. Where I'm just like, I'm on my last stand. I just gotta start shooting.
Yeah. Very often, it's not actually our last stand. Sometimes it is, and in those cases, call me General Custer. But every other time, we can just chill out.
I am not reaching
it's,
that.
Yeah, it's not range. Yeah, so you can see the range in which they can hear you. when you ult on the map. It gives you a little visual range, and you'll notice like it pretty much all
That's a little
throughout
too
main.
far.
All throughout
Yeah.
main, they could have heard you right there. It would have been one thing if like you wanted to teleport in there to see how many were there and then cancel it, you know. But
Right.
that's what I thought you were doing. I thought you were just gonna see how many are here. But to stick that, like they're gonna know exactly where you are, and you've got no like again, right there. You're forcing yourself to win that fight or die, and you like if you have the option to not do that, that's usually the better choice.
In the half.
Gotcha.
Cannot keep our goods up.
Because a lot of the time we can not win the fight and not die. That's very poggers.
Raise, sow your chaos.
Is this gonna wall it?
What the fuck? They got me back.
Cover going out.
To my world.
Spike planted.
Well, this is just a little bit unfortunate.
Enemy spotted A.
Shadows traveling.
Oh yeah, everything.
Last player standing.
You win these.
Oh hello.
Switching sides.
I want their life, not yours.
So what would you do on offense for starting pistol? Ghost?
Ghost,
Flash
yeah,
again,
Ghost
or-
Flash is still great. If not Ghost Flash, then classic light armor Flash Smoke. But Breeze, like if you always want to be playing to the range of your weapon, right? If you've got a long range weapon, try and take long angles. You know, if you've got a pistol, try and play close. Play against the range of the enemy's weapons. If you look at their money and you see, oh, they're poor, you know, post up on longer, more retreatable angles because they're gonna try and get close and aggressive on you. If they've got money for an op, avoid peeking full into an op.
Flashing in?
Blinding.
Yeah.
Enemy spotted B.
Yep. That molly just means I can't go that way.
Spike down B. One enemy remaining.
I have the spike.
Reloading.
Spike planted.
Spawn tunnel thing.
I am a mountain.
Look at me. I know that I am by your side.
Round 2, always full armor.
Yeah.
Round 2, always full armor after we run round 1. The only time we don't grab full armor after winning round 1 is if we already have a full light armor. Or if we are like Reyna and we're going for like light armor and a rifle. You can grab another smoke here too, especially because you have the money for it.
From them.
Um, you know, it's not like that extra tiny little bit of creds is gonna like 100 creds is gonna make the difference between you being able to buy in the next 2 rounds or not. So if you're going to go ahead and buy, it's better to just go for it.
Cover going out.
For you.
Remember,
Stay
it might
inside.
never work. I don't know if this is the move.
Indecisive, love it.
Just following them.
Enemies in defender spawn. Yikes. 3.
And your teammates right now are just... Oh, ace? Question mark?
Ace.
Ace!
Well done.
Gear up, stay safe. We're going back in.
So would you bonus the Spectre or would you
Yep,
upgrade?
absolutely.
Alright.
You know, it gives us a pretty high chance to not win round 3, but the amount, like the continuing to have a good economy and being able to bonus far outweighs it. It just means that like you don't want to take any long angles here. You really just want to get up in their face, aggressive, and like fight fast.
hmm
Also, like right here, you're tossing your double smokes, right? But this Viper is using her smokes at the same time. So often it's better to wait out the enemy utility first before we just go ahead and pop our utility, because by the time that ours gets used, like by the time we can actually push in, ours might be about to expire. Oh, oh no. Okay, well, hey,
At 148, man.
you got it. You got it. You got it for your team, right?
Yeah.
That's what matters.
One enemy remaining.
Free entry. I would definitely work on just practicing spray control in the practice range. Just go, the target that you can set to different distances
Yeah.
with different guns. Just practice stock still, stopping, and then spraying. And then try that at every range. And then once you get to like 20, 30, 50 meters, instead of doing spraying, practice bursting and tapping. Try and set, like, always have a goal to get it all within that small middle circle.
Gotcha.
They're weak. Good.
Omen is so scary.
Cover going out.
So the only thing I don't love about that smoke is, well, yes, it does allow you to push up to mid doors. It also like kind of blocks your ability off to see and control the rest of mid, which works great if your team is pushing A.
Mhm.
Just a little tiny bit obvious. Okay, no, you're right on top of where you are is great, because again, it's the retreatability. I wouldn't smoke there because your Reyna is right there again. Be looking on
I
the
see,
map.
yeah.
Be looking on the map where our teammates are and where we're controlling. Again, like now you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. See, we're in a great position, but now you're having to peek 2 angles and you're not retreatable on any of them. Perfect, good flash. Great counter flash.
Hall again. I just saw Sky. Sky's,
One enemy remaining.
towards you, I'm in towards you.
Flawless.
They have seen our power.
Oof. I did think about what you said about getting flashed and flashing right away.
That was perfect, because that stopped her from being able to swing you.
hmm
Flashes are really good for forcing enemies off of angles, for giving us the advantage when pushing into a fight, and for stopping enemies from coming into somewhere. Because if they're using utility, if they get flashed off, they're not going to push in. They're going to be terrified, especially if you actually flash them and not just send the flash whizzing by. So like if your teammate is ever getting pushed or you're ever getting pushed, popping your flash from a safe spot can buy you space to rotate and teleport out. That's one of the best things you can do with Omen. Is like if you're stuck in a spot and they're pushing you, flashing and teleporting somewhere useful, goated. That one was not quite as necessary because you don't need to. You're not peeking her there, and you don't need to peek her to leave.
Right.
AJ's here. I have like again, my version.
Enemy spotted A.
This is still blue. You can fly through window.
There's not a ton of reason to. Oh my god, she's deaf. She is deaf. So there's not a ton of reason to run right up to her and then shift walk, but apparently there is.
Cover going out.
One window. Two mid.
You're fine. Actually, if you wanted, you could teleport up on that wall and be a gigantic nuisance.
Oh,
Not that
up
one,
here?
the sage wall.
Oh,
Right there, like right into the corner where they can't see you. Right into that right corner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that way you've got like just a disgusting angle on them.
Welcome to my world.
Bomb buddy out.
Cover going out.
Wall raised.
Our spike carrier is killed.
Spike down B.
You should run.
Enemy spotted me.
Oh no. Yeah. So one of the biggest issues on Breeze is stagnating, where like we just kind of get stuck in the same spot for a really long time, and that was of no fault of your own that it happened that time, because you were forced out by the Killjoy ult. But in a situation like that, because you can't push in and because you're stagnated, you're kind of forced to not be able to take any fights on B. So right there when we oh my goodness. When we weren't controlling mid. Okay,
Uh-oh.
ready. Your duty's not over.
One enemy remaining.
Right there. You need spike. You need to go. You need to go. Oh goodness.
Blind omen.
A.
Oh, all right. Well,
Must I do everything?
Oh, nice break.
your duty is over.
Match point.
I know how this will end.
Where you going?
So this Viper's just gonna dump her util, so I should just wait on the smokes, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah. Baiting out enemy utility makes attacking so much easier. All right. The second you hear the shotgun, you back off because
True.
we don't want to be pushing into the shotgun again. Into what the fuck? Into our range against the enemy's range.
Enemy down.
Here we go.
Barrier created.
Shadows traveling.
Reloading. Spike planted.
Oh, all right. Good dodge. Solid flash. You know where both of them are.
One enemy remaining.
Again,
Last player
don't have to take that fight. It's a 2v1. No point in taking a 2v1.
Mm-hmm.
Just back off. Woo! That's GG though.
Attack
Alright,
win.
wonderful.
Do not fight us again.
Alright, I would say the big things for you. Oh, activate windows. Uh-oh.
What happened?
The activate windows showed at the bottom when the priest thing happened. Anyway, yeah, I would really work on the spray. That's going to be a big thing for you. Just getting comfortable. Just like you don't have to get comfortable with like a 20 bullet spray. You know, it's never necessary. But get comfortable up to like 10 or 11 bullets, and then get comfortable resetting recoil at different points in the spray, and that'll make it so much better. I would really focus on learning not only to AD counter strafe, but to WS counter strafe. Just learning every time I get into a fight, I'm just gonna press down all 4 movement buttons, and now I don't have to worry about moving down. right? And the way you do that is A and D are easy, and then the way you press down S is like with your middle finger on W, you can just roll it back. If you just roll it back just a little bit, you'll be pressing all 4. And getting comfortable not only doing that, but also aiming with your movement, you're going to see a big improvement. Just look where your teammates are. There are a lot of times that like you positioned in a way or used utility in a place or crosshair placed in an area where we had team control. And there are a lot of times where like we were trying to contest areas that we had control over when there were areas where we didn't have control over that we needed control over. So just looking at the map a little bit more to understand, whenever you're not in combat, looking at the map and being like, okay, where now am I? Should I look? Where should I use my utility? Where could the enemies be? Where are my teammates at right now? And just kind of just getting a more holistic view of the map as a whole to understand where you should be using your utility it will make life easier in every way.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, like an example of that is on like Ascent, not Ascent. What's about? Oh, Bind. I'm thinking Bind. Like 3 of us would just run into U-Haul and just sit there. It's like,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Or our over rotate earlier, or our what's it called? The times where we were putting pressure or looking mid when our Reyna or someone else was mid. Like all of those times are times where we could be a lot more valuable in our own gameplay.
See.
And then just one of the things is just be more aware of what the enemy could be doing. There are a lot of times where I felt like you got caught off guard because you were more thinking of, okay, from the information I have, let me think about what I could do, and less from the information I have, what could the enemy be doing? And a lot of that was like when like that time that you teleported into A main, your thought process behind that was, okay, I think that they're pushing A. What can I do to get value when I'm pushing A? And so you teleported there. But if you think, okay, what are they doing? You're thinking, all right, well, we know that they're not out of A main yet because my teammates are out of A main or are protecting A main right now. But we know that they're there, right? So I guarantee there's at least 2 or 3 people there. If I teleport right here, they'll hear me, and I won't have any retreat options, and that teleport's not going to get particularly valuable info because we already have info on the amount of people that are playing there. And so kind of thinking, what can my enemy be doing? What should my enemy be doing? And what has my enemy done in the past? Just allow you to predict their gameplay a little bit better and understand what they're coming from and where they're doing. Or where they're coming from and what they're doing. Woof. Go ahead.
How'd you think I did overall, just in terms, I guess, compared to other people you've coached or whatever?
I would say
level.
You're smack dab in the middle of silver, from what I saw. I would like silver 2 is right where I think you're at. I think that if you the main thing holding you back is really the spray, just because whenever you get into a good fight, if you tapped and like got the headshot, you were fine. But if you ever got into a spray, a lot of times you would lose the fight. And there were sprays where like you were in a good fight that you should be winning. And then if you combined that with just stop taking fights when you don't have to, I think you could very easily like hit gold 3. And then working on all the other stuff too. I mean that all of it'll all eventually combine together. But yeah, I mean
the spray control is the worst. I just try to do like 2 or 3 tap, and then stop, and then move, and then try again.
Yeah.
Like
it's just get more comfortable with it. I would do more DM. Playing some death matches, I think would help you a lot. Just don't focus on winning. Just focus on one thing at a time. All right, I'm really going to focus on my crosshair placement this time. I'm really going to focus on my movement this time. I'm really going to focus on my sprays this time. All right, now I'm going to really focus on my movement and my sprays. Okay, now I'm going to really focus on my, and so like, you can slowly build it up. All right, man. Any questions you have? Anything else you want to go over?
Could I watch you go through the spray thing?
Yeah, so absolutely. Real quick before I do that, I'm gonna. Our session went over the delivery date by like 15 minutes, so I'm gonna request an extension real quick. And
And
Yeah, I don't know how any of that works.
no worries. It's just gonna give you. Do you use the app or the website for Fiverr?
Website.
Website. Okay, so if you go to the website, it like should give you like an email notification or something along those lines of like, hey, he's opened up a request, and you can just you'll be able to go in our chat and accept it, and it'll like extend by 1 day.
Oh, I see.
Okay. So, I saw you using the Vandal mostly. So, basically, right? See, my spray, 5 meters, very easy, right? At 10 meters, it gets a little bit more difficult. And so, just turn. What I would do is I would turn infinite ammo off, right? And then just do a clip at every range, both bursting and full firing. And then you don't have to do full fire at 30 and 50. But so, right, where I'm kind of working on counter strafing and then keeping it all within this circle, right? And then and then you can work on 20 meters, and this is where you can start to work on the little bit more bursts, and you can practice it on the bots too. But just really trying to keep it all within that first circle as much as possible. You can just sell it and buy your gun, and then 30 meters, and we're getting now is where we're really. And I'm not even. I'm super not warmed up, so my spray is terrible right now. But
So at that distance, you really can't.
No, you can't at all. Even the even the best of players, like, that's about as good as you're gonna get. So, I just have heads. And also, the guns aren't even accurate at this range. You can see I'm right on his head, but I don't even hit a headshot. That's because even when fully still, the guns are not totally first shot accurate. They're more first shot accurate if you right click, but see, like that, I'm not moving my mouse at all. And sometimes it misses, right? And that just happens. So, and that's another one of the reasons that we always want to be ready to stop taking a fight. Because what happens if I'm right on his head, right? I could not be more perfectly on his head. I get right in the center of his eye. And I see that first shot missed. What the fuck do you do? Nothing. So you can just back off. So being more ready, like, the game will go against you sometimes. So just being ready, preparing for mistakes will make your life a lot easier.
Putting myself in positions where I could escape.
Yeah. Just always have, it's not always possible, but always have a retreat option. Always have something that you can do. Also, another thing that you can use to inform your spray control is you can look at the gun with the corner of your eye. First of all, if we get really quiet and if you turn it all the way up, there's an auditory difference between when the gun is going up and down and left to right between the bullets. So here, let me reload real quick, and if you turn your volume up, you'll be able to hear when it changes. You hear that? It gets a little bit lower when it starts going into the left and right. You hear that?
That one I did not hear.
Oh, okay.
I heard the first one.
Well, yeah. But if you pay attention to that, then you can know, okay, down, right? And so do that. And then also, if you look at the gun, you can watch it go up and then left, right? And so how you counteract that, right, is I go down, right. You can see how the barrel is turning. That's what I use to inform myself. Because when I'm looking at the corner of the barrel, I just shift my. Now we'll turn infinite ammo back on so you can see it a little bit longer. I use that to inform when I'm correcting this weapon. Right, left, right, left. And see if I just stop, you can see it
just get used to that visual cue. Also, some skins are more obvious than others when it comes to the audio. It's not very obvious with Reaver, because Reaver is so loud to begin with. It's kind of hard to hear, and it's like got a lot of effects on the bullets, but I think it's actually pretty hearable on the default, and it's super hearable on the Prime. Prime is really easy to hear it on. But just, you know, kind of utilizing those small differences in control and recoil will allow you to just get a little bit more shots on it. And also just like a lot of times you're just kind of moving around with this, and it doesn't matter how perfect my recoil control is if I'm moving around just even a little bit on it. It's one thing if I'm like, you know, it's one thing if I've got like a Spectre like if I've got a Spectre and I'm moving around while I'm shooting, right? Like that is generally the shape of a person. Like a lot of those bullets are hitting. But if I've got a Vandal and I'm doing that,
This version's a lot wider. Huh?
that's a lot less bullets on target. And so like a thing that you can be doing is like if you want to be, I don't particularly recommend taking duels this way, but if you want to be strafing in all of your duels, especially like long range duels, I definitely think this is slightly better. If you want to like do more like this, where like I can actually, here's a long range duel, right? Where I am strafing it and then I'm strafing on his head. But you can see when I'm doing the actual firing, I'm stock still, right? And that's what's important. Like you can move around, but you want to make sure that you're accurate for your actual bullets. Because when I'm like this and not moving, the bullets are going everywhere and they're not hitting. And that's what would happen. It's kind of like you would start to shoot and you get a little bit scared and kind of shift walk over, and then you would hit a lot of body and leg shots because your shots are going everywhere. And you wouldn't do enough damage to kill them. Or you would just barely kill them in time for them to turn around and do a little bit of damage to you, or like just turn around. And like if you continue, like let's say you improve everything else but your spray and you get to plat, they're gonna be a lot faster in turning around and doming you. Alright, silver players, if you miss your shots on them, they're gonna be like, what? Oh no, an enemy, oh! But you know, a platinum player is gonna be more like, oh god, you know, oh god. And it still took me a second to hit a shot there. It's not fucking radiant like, but you're gonna have a lot less time and like leeway and like grace to play with. All right. Anything else, my friend?
No, very informative. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to hear it. Did you get a sec to accept that accept the extension request?
No, it would help if I knew my password. I only set up a Fiverr account to do your thing.
No worries. I'll hit deliver whenever you finish it, because if I do it late, Fiverr gets mad at me.
Oh, I see.
And then, other than that, I will